Hello, my name is Michael Brostein, and I am answering the question of Module 5 on the topic of transportation. As you can see, I just got off the bus. This is the bus number 17, the one that I regularly take to my work. And so what I'm going to be showing you is the ways in which transportation is done here in Dublin. Besides the bus here, we also have taxis. The thing is that Dublin is a really small city, generally. It has, I don't think, more than 1 million people. And so because of that, actually no, it's even less, it's about 500,000. It's a small city. And so because of that, transportation generally is not really that big of an issue. People tend to take the buses a lot here in Dublin, and they tend to take taxis around as well. Uber doesn't exist here because of the fact that there's a high tax on Ubers. One thing that Ireland does very well is control its home businesses very well. So they want to make sure taxis, which tend to benefit the state, get more money. So there's a high tax on Ubers. So if you take an Uber, it's going to cost nearly 3 times more than a taxi would. Besides taxis and buses, one thing that generally tends to be used as transportation here in Dublin is, if you can see it, that is the DART station. DART is Dublin Area Railroad Transit, similar to BART, only with a D. So, how else do people get around in Dublin? Well, one way is by bike. People bike a lot in Dublin. In all honesty, actually, it's not that much. People don't bike that often in Dublin. And it's probably because of the fact that people are crazy drivers in Dublin. Although, if I can make it in time for all of this, I'm going to show you how there are rentable bikes here in Dublin as well. So, one thing that Dublin could improve on was transportation. Although it is a small city and transportation is not that big of a deal, one thing that it could be beneficial is if they created bike lanes. Because of the fact that people tend to use the bus so much and tend to use driving and whatnot in taxis, it would probably be beneficial, at least for people's overall well-being, as seen in cities like Amsterdam, to use bikes. One thing that Dublin doesn't really have is bike lanes. You know, I think it's just known that as a biker, you have the same rules attached to you as when you drive. You know, drive on the left side of the road and whatnot. But also, as stated before, because there's no bike lanes, people generally tend to be very hateful, or not hateful, but just tend to be very don't have a very good attitude towards bikers here in Dublin. And so I remember I was on a bus one time. I was on the top floor, and I noticed that the driver was getting angry, getting very close to a biker who was in front of him, who, technically speaking, had the right of way. But because it's not really a normal thing for there to be so many bikers, and there's not a very good attitude towards them, people generally don't really like them, and people tend to bike less. So what could benefit Dublin very well is if it created bike lanes. Something along these roads here, indicating where bikers can go and where bikers shouldn't go and whatnot. I kind of messed up, unfortunately. There are bike rentals here in Dublin, and I thought that I could show you where there are the bike rentals. And they are here, but they're a little rare. They'll appear randomly. And you are able to rent bikes from one area and put it in another one. Something that is very big, and of course in Amsterdam, as well in my hometown of Santa Monica. So that's my opinion of what could benefit Dublin. Because it's such a small city, again, there is no real need for anything like a subway system or anything like that. The Dublin Area Railroad Transit can get you from a lot of different places in Dublin, and get you from here in Blackrock all the way down to, say, Howth, and the bus takes you all around the city. In fact, there are some buses that take you generally all the way around the entire country. I don't think there's many railroads that go cross country in Ireland, and people generally take the bus. For example, one of the bigger cities here in Dublin is Galway. If I want to go there, I take a 3-hour bus there. So that's basically, in one quick thing, the overall issue of the transportation system in Dublin. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you kind of enjoyed my comedic bits, and goodbye.